You expect me to believe that, kid? The officer's laughter was sharp, almost gleeful. It cut through the evening air like a blade, laced with disbelief and ridicule. He loomed over Jamal, a young black teenager with sweat still drying on his brow from basketball practice, his sneakers scuffed and dusty. The cop's grip on Jamal's wrist was tight, too tight, and his eyes glinted under the glow of flashing red and blue lights. It was supposed to be a peaceful walk home, but now the quiet suburban street was tense, taut like a wire ready to snap. The hum of the patrol car idling nearby mixed with the hushed murmurs of neighbors peeking through their blinds, their silhouettes half hidden by curtains of apathy and curiosity. Jamal didn't flinch. He stood his ground, legs slightly trembling, but chin defiantly raised. His voice, though young, was steady. "My dad's in special forces. He's going to be here any second." The cop smirked at that, an exaggerated curl of disbelief across his lips. He scoffed and shook his head. "Yeah, sure he is," he muttered, amusement dripping from every word. "And I'm the president." But what the officer didn't realize, what none of them saw coming, was this. In less than 60 seconds, his smirk would disappear. His grip would loosen. And the man who stepped out of the shadows would make him regret every assumption, every insult, every ounce of doubt he had thrown at Jamal like it was nothing. Because Jamal had heard it all before. "You don't belong in this neighborhood. Where'd you steal that bike from? Whose house are you really going to?" But today hit different. He hadn't even gotten 2 blocks from the gym when the police cruiser crept up behind him. Lights off, tires whispering against the asphalt. He was just a black boy on a bike, his own bike, but apparently that was enough to match a vague description of a suspicious person someone had called in about. He tried to keep calm. He remembered his father's advice. Don't resist, stay polite, stay alive. So Jamal answered every question. But when the officer laughed, really laughed, at the mention of his dad being in the military, something inside him cracked. It wasn't just disrespect, it was dismissal. And that hit deeper than anything else. His dad wasn't just in the military. He was the kind of man who could disappear behind enemy lines and walk back through the front door like nothing happened. The kind of soldier who didn't need to shout to be heard, who moved in silence until the moment came to be seen. Now, as the officer's radio crackled and his hand went for the cuffs, Jamal's stomach knotted. "Let's take a little ride downtown, kid," the cop muttered. "We'll sort this out." Jamal's heart pounded. He knew what that meant. He'd heard stories. Kids like him taken in for questioning and never treated like kids at all. Then came the screech. A black SUV whipped around the corner, tires carving against the pavement, headlights flashing like a warning. It skidded to a halt behind the patrol car. The cop flinched and spun around, his hand instinctively hovering over his holster. The SUV door slammed open. Boots hit the pavement, heavy, deliberate. Out stepped a towering figure, broad shoulders, military posture, shadowed eyes scanning the scene with sharp precision. He wore a plain black shirt, but his presence carried authority like thunder waiting to break. Jamal let out a breath. "Dad." The officer's mouth parted slightly, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of the man whose existence he had just mocked. "Sir, this is police business," the cop started, his tone tightening. The man didn't flinch. "Your business," he said, voice low and even, "is harassing my son." The words didn't rise in volume, but they carried weight, like the silence before a storm. The kind of voice that made you straighten your spine without even thinking about it. Another officer, the first one's partner, stepped forward, eyes scanning the new arrival with wary hesitation. "We had a report of a stolen bike. The kid fit the description." Jamal's father turned his gaze on the second officer, calm, calculating, unblinking. Then slowly he reached into his back pocket. The first officer's hand darted to his gun. But it wasn't a weapon. It was a badge, a military ID. He held it up. "You want to run mine too?" he asked coolly. The silence that followed was deafening. The first cop's face drained of color. He recognized the insignia, the rank, the name. This wasn't just someone's dad. This was a commanding officer. And suddenly, none of it was a joke anymore. The air grew thick. No one moved. Then Jamal's father took a step forward, his eyes locked on the officer, still gripping his son's wrist. Just what, he said, his voice sharp as steel. Were you teaching my son? The cop looked down, ashamed. We, we were just profiling him? Humiliating him? Jamal's father stepped closer, his presence towering now. Teaching him, once again, that his skin is a threat? Jamal felt a wave of emotion surge in his chest. He hated this. The way people looked at them. The way his dad's jaw clenched, like he was swallowing rage with every breath. No need for this to escalate, the officer stammered, raising his hand slightly. You're right, his father replied. So uncuff my son, now. The officer hesitated. Then with stiff, awkward fingers, he released Jamal's wrist. As the handcuffs fell away, so did the illusion of authority. All that remained was silence. The patrol car pulled off a few minutes later, both officers avoiding eye contact. Neighbors stepped back from their windows. Jamal stood there rubbing his wrist. His dad placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. You okay? Jamal nodded, but his voice came out small. Why's it always like this? His father didn't answer immediately. They started walking down the sidewalk together, the weight of the night still pressing on their backs. Finally, he spoke. Because some people need proof before they offer you respect. He looked down at his son, eyes softening. But you don't owe them proof, Jamal. Not ever. The streetlights flickered as they made their way home, their shadows stretching long behind them. The confrontation faded behind them like a memory dissolving in the dark. And in that quiet, Jamal realized something. His father's power wasn't just in his rank or badge. It was in his stillness, in the way he refused to bow to ignorance, in the way he stood, solid, unshaken, no matter who tried to push him down. It wasn't just military training. It was dignity. It was strength. It was legacy. And one day Jamal knew he'd carry that same fire forward. If this story moved you, if it opened your eyes or echoed something deep within your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a justice for Jamal in the comments below. For more powerful stories about courage, dignity, and truth, subscribe to Era Tales, because every story has the power to change a heart, and some stories change the world.